What is up, y'all? It's Anime K here, and we are back with another reaction video. Yes, we're doing another reaction video, and today's reaction video is the anime that was so controversial it was pulled off streaming sites. So let's see what this anime was, and I'm sorry for the lack of posts. I'm sorry, no explanation, I'm just sorry. But let's get into the video.
Anime and controversy has always been something that happens from time to time. It's always been a thing ever since anime has been existing. Unlike other types of media, anime sometimes doesn't hold back on what they show or what they are talking about, or the many themes that an anime does tend to always bring up in their series. Now, it's not of course just anime, this could also be said about manga and light novels, but it's safe to say that the medium is always having that one series that has a lot of people talking about because of just how weird, bizarre, insane, or just how disturbing the entire premise of that story is. Now, of course, it isn't always like this. Sometimes controversies in animes happen because of certain characters that are in the series, or just simply because of the fan service that an anime may have, because let's just be honest, the discussion in fan service in anime is always going to be divisive, and there's not really going to be a full conclusion to that discussion. But very rarely do we get a situation in which an anime is so controversial that it actually gets pulled off the streaming site that you could have watched that certain anime legally. And this is something that a lot of times doesn't really happen, but this exact scenario happened in the year 2020. An anime that was so controversial that at the time, the streaming site that it was showing it, after just a few episodes, decided to just simply get rid of it from their streaming service. And this is none other than the anime The Interspecies Reviewers, done by the studio Passion, in which if you have seen a ton of anime quite a lot, you would know that this studio is very well known for making, let's just say, very unique animes that you don't oftentimes see a studio go all out and not really mind showing a lot of, let's just say, wild things through and through. And this anime was no exception, as during this time when it was still airing, a lot of people were very quick to realize that this is not going to be your normal anime, as just the premise alone was enough for people to see that this anime wasn't going to hold back. As basically, in a nutshell, this anime is about our main characters going into brothels and giving them reviews about their experience and how much of a good time they had. And shockingly, they actually get paid for these said reviews, since it seems that in this world a lot of people are interested in what these brothels have to offer. And since this takes place in a fantasy world, you obviously know full well that these brothels just don't contain only humans, as each brothel in this series has a different kind of species. That's why it's in the title of the anime, The Interspecies Reviewers. They have things like, you know, elves and beast people, sorcerers, fairies, etc. So you know well that this is going to be a variety of different kinds of experiences for our said characters who go by the name of Stunk and Zell at the beginning. So not even watching the anime but knowing what the premise is about, you would think that there's just no way that a streaming site would see this and have to try to get the license to stream this anime in their platform. Well, that's exactly what happened. That at the time, Funimation, who doesn't need an introduction, because if you have been watching anime for many years, you would know that this was probably one of the biggest anime streaming platforms right next to Crunchyroll. And before the merger between Funimation and Crunchyroll, Funimation was a huge rival to Crunchyroll, just like any.
Did you guys watch Funimation? I always thought Funimation was just trash. Like, Crunchyroll was just way, well, it was why they merged, because Crunchyroll was just way better, had way better animes. But yeah,
other streaming service out there as well. And if you watch seasonal animes, you would know that not every anime is being licensed by the same streaming service. Every streaming service tries to get the licenses of different kinds of animes to put them on their platform, because that's just how competition works. And Funimation managed to get the license to stream Interspecies Reviewers, and the first episode came out on January 11th in 2020 in Funimation. But this did not last long, as not even a couple weeks later, Funimation realized what anime they licensed. So in February 2020, somewhere around that time, Funimation decided to take Interspecies Reviewers off their platform, and this of course caused huge discussions around the anime community, and this will lead to Funimation making a statement as to why they decided to do what they did. And it's because, quote, the anime falls outside of company standards. What that means is pretty much anybody to decide, as it's pretty vague as to what they were trying to say. But this statement from Funimation didn't stop from the conversation of still going on, as of course many people had questions as to why this was even a problem to Funimation, since at the time many people found out that at the time Funimation had even more weird animes in their platform platform, yet those were fine, but for some reason interspecies reviewers was the exception, and they got rid of it very quickly. Not to mention, as well as to some people were also confused as to how Funimation messed this up so badly, as how did they not see what kind of anime they were licensing before they decided to fully license this anime to stream it on their platform? Did they just simply look at the synopsis and thought that it wasn't going to be too bad, or did they just simply not bother to check even more deeper as to what this anime was going to contain and just how insane it was going to get as the episodes continue? But surprisingly, it wasn't just Funimation that pulled it off their streaming service. It was actually also Amazon Prime at the time, who also decided to get rid of interspecies reviewers from their platform. And to make it even more worse, whether this was bad timing or just a coincidence, the original network, Tokyo MX, who was airing interspecies reviewers in Japan, decided to stop airing it, not because of the controversy, but apparently it was because of the program management in the TV station. So it just seems that everywhere this series went, it was just going to end badly, as it seems that no matter who platformed it, whether it was what it contained or just simply other circumstances, just prevented people from being able to watch this legally. And this of course led to people now of course having to watch this through other methods. Something also that's worth mentioning is that this series has also become a bit of lost media, since if you know anything about Funimations, or you were watching Funimations when it was still a thing, you would know that Funimation had a habit of making English dubs for older animes, and the interspecies reviewers was no exception, as they too also had an English dub. Although because they canceled the series very early on, this of course led to the incomplete dub version of this anime, and this of course has led many people to wonder how many episodes of this anime were dubbed, as many people who actually were trying to find out, they only managed to find the first episode that was fully dubbed, yet the others are left unknown, and many don't even know if there's even a full completed dub version of this anime, or if they were in the works, but after the cancellation they were just simply kept in the vault somewhere to never be seen or be released ever again. So now you may be wondering as to why I'm talking about a controversy that happened almost 4 years ago. Well, that's because at the time I had no idea this much about the controversy, but now looking into it more deeper, I decided to check the anime myself to see if it was truly controversial and if Funimation made the right call to getting rid of this anime off their platform. And after watching all the episodes, all I have to say is I'm not really sure why this was simply the exception for Funimation, since I believe there's even much more wilder animes out there that also didn't hold back on what they showed. Yes, I do understand that the premise is weird and it's something that I feel like is not for everyone, but at the same time they were very open about what this anime was going to contain, and they weren't going to hide of what they were going to showcase. I mean, even
I'm trying to figure it out. I wonder what was the actual reason. What do you guys think the reason was now? Before I think he's going to eventually say, what do you guys think the reason was? Me personally, I don't know. I mean, there's so many other weird animes that, okay, this is a weird concept, but I guess it's just pure fan service for guys, right? So most guys will probably watch this, and I don't know most guys, but like a lot of guys who watch anime may watch this and enjoy the anime. I don't know, but why? I can't figure out why something like that would be cancelled. Maybe there's like one scene in there where one scene went too overboard, which I don't even want to picture how that would look or what that would look like. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments below though before I continue. What do you think? Comment right now.
The first 2 episodes, it already really showed what this anime was all about and how this is going to be the pattern as the episodes go by. We see our main characters, Stunk and Zell, of course give their reviews of their experiences with many different kinds of species when they're having a good time. Later on, we get introduced to another character who is an angel who goes by the name of Cranvel, who let's just say is a very unique character of their own because they happen to have the body parts of both female and male. And that's all I'm going to say because you probably already know what that means, and I don't need to go further and go into full on detail as to what I'm trying to say here. So already with the characters, with the premise alone, I already knew that this was going to be an anime that wasn't going to be family friendly, and this is an anime that you should probably not show to people who aren't into these kinds of animes. And just when I think that it can't get more insane, it always somehow manages to surprise me. Like there's just one episode in, I think it's episode 3, where they all go to this brothel where they could change genders for a brief moment, and they of course get to experience what it's like to be on the other side. Don't need to go further detail into what I mean by that. And then of course you have the classics, which is of course the kinks that are showcased in this anime. Now there's nothing wrong with people having kinks as long as you're not hurting anybody, but there are some kinks that they do showcase that are just straight up weird, and I can never really understand how there are some people out there who really are into these kind of things. And I never met people with these kind of kinks, and I'm glad I never will, and I hope I don't, because I don't want people to have some very strange kinks to be around me, because just no. Also, very briefly, I want to talk about a certain character of this series that really just stuck out because of what they were into, and this is a character who goes by the name of Kanchal. Now, out of everybody in this series, this character was really into roleplay. Now, I know roleplay isn't anything new. People do roleplay, and I know people are into roleplay, and there's nothing wrong with doing roleplay depending on where it is, but Kanchal is something else because this character had no problems with doing certain roleplays, even if they were messed up or really dark. This character just went along with it because they really like roleplays. And when I mean that some of these roleplays are dark, I really mean it, because some of these roleplays contain, stuff like kidnapping and slavery and domination, etc. Something that you wouldn't think someone will be willing to participate in that kind of roleplay. This character has no problems doing it whatsoever. Not to mention that he's also a perfectionist because he tends to always want to make sure that the roleplay is done right and to be in the moment.
Yeah, so the author was just living out his fantasies through the anime then. Who's the author of this show, actually? I might need to look it up. If I find it, I'll put a picture on the screen, but whoever the author is, yeah, they were just living out their fantasies through this anime, it seems, through all these characters. I guess it just turns more into a hentai at that point. Is it really an anime at this point? Maybe that's why they pulled it. Maybe it just got that sick that they were like, oh, we can't even have this on here. Now, I'd have to look at what other animes are on Amazon and what were on Funimation, but I don't know. I mainly stick to, normal anime, so I don't know. But maybe some of you guys know in the comments. Maybe some of you guys are exploring different animes out there, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if there's even been an anime worse than this. I mean, JJK had its moment, right? Which, everyone overlooked, right? Remember that, guys? I'm a JJK fan. Remember what happened in JJK? I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. I mean, Konosuba's a little on the more, Konosuba, what's the full name of the anime? But you know what I'm talking about, Konosuba, right? Konosuba, I guess, is on more of the crazy side sometimes, but you guys let me know in the comments below though. What is anime that's just as worse as this or even worse?
Which just goes to show you how he really does enjoy this role-playing stuff. With all this being said though, putting all this to the side, it really is amazing sometimes to see how despite this premise and despite these animes having these really weird plots and stories, some of these animes tend to always have some clean animation. I don't know why that's the case. I don't know if this is something that's always like something people pay attention to when watching these very wild animes or not, but despite everything that Interspecies Reviewers has, I have to admit that the color palette, the background, the visuals is stunning to see, and I do have to commend them for being consistent and having some solid animation. Now, of course, some of the good animation is oftentimes in the other scenes, but even in just the normal scenes, they does look very stunning, so I'll give them that. At least they are consistent when it comes to their animation, because oftentimes you just love to see animation.
Prison School is one of them. If any of you guys have watched Prison School, that just popped into my head.
Being done properly, and it actually looks like they're putting effort, because that's just great to see, just animation being beautifully done, even if of course the said series that it's being done in is the one that you least expect for this animation to be solid. It's something that's worth commending, because I will always have a soft spot when it comes to beautiful animation, even if that said series where the good animation is coming from has a crazy premise containing crazy moments all the way through. And for those who are wondering if there's a story into this anime, I mean, technically there is, but really every episode it kind of has a repeated formula where it's the characters go to a brothel, they do their deed, and then they spend their time, of course, reviewing it. And one thing that's also worth mentioning as well is that oftentimes this could get repetitive, and I think they even knew that themselves, because they tried to find these very creative ways to, give these reviews, all of them having a very different, unique way of showcasing this said review. But if you're anticipating for this series to have some like character development, some very insane story arcs, then you're going to be disappointed, because that's not really what happens, since it's very obvious that this is not going to be a series that's going to be having this very deep message or these deep meanings or these deep themes. This
I mean, yeah, think about it. Where would the character development come from? You're reviewing brothels. Like, where would the development be? Like, unless, I don't know, one day they just go, oh, guys, maybe we shouldn't just review brothels and actually find a real job. I don't know. But I don't know how that progresses, really. Well,
this is not one of those series because, as the name suggests, it's what we got. We got a series that involves characters giving reviews of their good time that they spend with different kinds of species. Yes, it's a very weird plot. Yes, I feel like no normal person will actually decide to create a story like this, but it exists, and we just have to come to terms that this isn't going to be the last time we will see a plot like this, because as you all know, in the world of anime and manga, we are going to get even more bizarre plots and bizarre storylines and bizarre characters and bizarre premises until the end of time. And that's just something that people just have to come and accept, because this has always existed in anime and manga. It's not like it's a new thing or something that just came out of nowhere. It's been a thing ever since anime and manga have existed. So really, it's a crazy story to think about how this happened almost 4 years ago in the year 2020, where you would think that people by now will come to realize, especially these anime companies, that anime is always going to be weird. There's always going to be those weird animes out there that aren't always going to be your typical slice of life, your romance or shonen anime. Weirder animes are always going to be a thing, and every season of anime, there's always going to be that one series that is out of the ordinary and it has a very out-of-pocket premise that you didn't think would ever be a thing, but it is. And I don't really understand why Funimation during these times felt that out of all the other animes that they had on their platforms, this was the one that went too far and that they just couldn't have it anymore. But I guess we will never know, because as you all know, Funimation and Crunchyroll merged not too long ago, meaning that Funimation is no longer a thing, and that basically Funimation has just now become a thing in the past. But yeah, that's basically my entire video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
Alright guys, let me know what you think about this reaction video. Let me know if you enjoy the reaction videos, of course, right? I will start with regular content soon, but again guys, comment down below some of the weirdest animes you have watched, and yeah, I'm out. Peace.